here at the nursery today, dropping some things off, and just observing how much water is being put on the plants through the irrigation system, which unfortunately, I don't know if you can see here, but the winds, the rows aren't really showing it that well, but it's like 20-30 mile an hour winds out here, and that can really do as much damage as just not watering your plants for a few days. So prime example of that is this Florida thatch palm, Phrynex radiata. You can see it kind of has a small leaf syndrome and just didn't have the energy to really put out a proper leaf. So in the meantime, when you go out to your nursery and you have enough plants, sometimes you just find a little bit of a surprise. And over here, let me zoom in here real quick. These are they're a mix actually, but the bottom three here is Coryphon brachyolifera. Now I have these potted up in 1 gallons there. These were extras. I threw them into just some basic sandy soil mix, nothing much better than what's in the ground. About at least they have started germinating randomly. I guess when water came down. Same thing goes for over here. These are Phrynex radiata, which is just a small version of that guy over there. And so it's fun to see little things you didn't think were going to, culminate into anything. I don't know if culminate is the right word, but I used it. So anyway, really looking okay considering we were just chopped up bugs and just thrown in right in the full sun. So in the meantime, in the shade house for the irrigation, it seems to be going pretty well. We're doing a little bit of weeding here. Ashley's over here weeding, and finding guys popping up. I planted about 100 Copernicia baleanas here, and let me zoom in on that. You can see the first leaf popping up on those, which is a good sign. Those are not the easiest. Those are not, they're not hard to grow, but their roots are very temperamental, so if you do things wrong, they'll let you know immediately by dying. And here's another little thing that I did, and most of them died. Unfortunately, in the nursery business, things are just going to die sometimes. There's nothing you can really do about it. They either weren't healthy enough to live, or you can't adjust the conditions fast enough to keep them from dying. So right here, these were all lipstick palms, Cedar stachys renda. And really what got to them was the wind. And these get watered every day. They're very wet all the time. Some of these didn't have a good enough root system. They were already had dry roots when I potted them because of where they were. And so there's only about not even 10% are surviving. There might be 10 out of 100 that are alive. But unfortunately, that's just the way things are. Some batches, I try to keep them alive. I have much healthier ones. These just aren't doing that well. Then also another little lesson to learn. Well, here's 2 lessons in one little picture here. One is always tag your community pots. And 2, always when your community pots are ready to be potted up, separate them. So I have these 2 here I know are Rhaphis excelsa, the lady palm. This here I know is the needle palm, Rhipidophallium hystrix. I just know because I know that's what I potted in there, and I know that's what that seed looks like. This here is a community pot of about 30 Sabelisa in a 1 gallon. That's going to be a nightmare to undo. So make sure that you break your community pots up when they're ready. If you don't, you're going to have tangled up roots. Some palms won't mind, but Sabels do mind, and I'm going to lose half of those. But it's really comes down to how much time you have to do all the things that are required in a nursery. Over here, there's some Copernicia fallens. They're all throwing up first leaves. One funny thing that happened here was, you look at, they're in a bin that actually holds water, and I brought them out here because it was relatively dry when I first started bringing stuff out, and nothing was really holding water beyond the soil. And one day I come out and this thing's half filled. At the same time, I pulled up let me see if I can't pull up a little guy here and show you guys what I'm talking about. Yeah. So if you look right there, there's a nice white healthy root, and it loves just sitting in water. So it's something about copernices. They like that swampy. They like sitting in swampy water. I mean, I wouldn't drain the entire plant in it, but their roots like being sitting in water at all times. It will make them grow faster. They're known for being notoriously slow, at least most of the species, the Cuban ones. But for the most part, things are looking pretty green. You know, nothing is perfect, especially in like a wholesale nursery, which is what I am. I'm not a retail. I don't just hang out here during the day and sell. Well, for one, this is not a big enough nursery to do that with. Two, it's just it's not economically viable. So I come out here, I pot up stuff. It's on irrigation. I'll sell in quantity to people, and this isn't really fully set up yet. I mean, I have like 800. This is all Dipsis pembana that has to be potted up. I've got, there's probably 100 Kenneopsis there. I mean, it's not a lot as a wholesaler, but it's all stuff that needs to get done beyond one of the other things that I do. And another 100 or so Becario Phoenix. And then these are just a few of the compots that I have. Some are back at the house. So that's going to take up the majority of my nursery space. They are, there's always a way to take care of the nursery. There's always like a little triage going on because nothing goes perfectly well. Either things need to be weeded, things are not getting watered, things are just not growing, and you need to like take them out because they're either dead or they're just not enjoying the environment. You have to kind of figure out another alternative. So let's take a little walk over here to the cycad area. And so you can see here, this over here technically is a palm farm. However, he's a mechanic, and he doesn't really do anything with the palms. They just grow. If someone wants to buy them, they buy them. But here's some of the tools of the trade. Big caterpillar for lifting big trees out of the ground. That's like if you want to lift a 25-foot royal, then that's what you would use. Now, can I zoom? Okay, there we go. Now we're back to 1.0 magnification. You can see more of the nursery from here. So this thing's actually pretty stable when I'm walking uphill one-handed. And so over there and behind us, this is another property. See those plants in the background? That is another palm nursery, or at least it was. A lot of, I guess I can tell you guys some side stories, but let's look at the new growth going on in the cycad. This is where they are popping out every which way. Oh, we got a new seed. I don't know if you can see that, but if you're looking real close, let's zoom in here. See that new, let's see if this will focus. Come on. Let's go a little further here. I guess it doesn't want to do that. Let me just see if I can go back to normal and just focus in, or just bring it in real close. You see that green little part there? That's a new leaf about to emerge. And these guys here are all encephalartos, different types. And we raise them as pups. They're in straight pumice or very well draining mix. In fact, I'll bring these guys out and see if we can. Ooh. I need to make sure that these guys, when they leaf out, you want to leaf them out in some sun. You don't want a shade-grown plant. So wow, this is really, so we have Inopinus here and here next to each other. We have Trispinosus, two different types. That's powder blue, that's neon blue. Another Inopinus, Diarianus, Princeps, and there's a couple other types here that have not rooted out yet, or they're duplicates. So these are all encephalartos, and they're all for sale. So if you can see the leaflet structure, that's going to be a very spiny plant, especially out here in the ends. That's actually a very special plant in itself. It is from, it's called, the Stanley Keem form of Cephalornis trispinosus. And Stanley Keem, a little backstory, was a South African who moved to the U.S. in the probably the late 1950s, around 1957. And if you hear that's actually me vaping. So I don't want you guys thinking that there's some kind of, weird machine behind me. He moved to the U.S. around 57, 58. He started collecting for Fairchild. And when I was working at Fairchild, I went through some of the accession booklets, the ones that were handwritten, that were up. They were probably handwritten until about 1990. And I found the old ones from the 60s. And I found Stanley Keem had written... He had written all these accessions himself, and he had pretty much collected every Cephalornis you can think of. And now back then there were no restrictions on what you could bring in. Nowadays these would all require permits and would be very hard to get. I mean, they're just, it's cost ineffective to bring them in for for business sake, but they're still beautiful plants. They're kind of like the blood diamonds in the plant world. There are botanical gardens that do properly, try and conserve cycads. They will pollinate them. There's many guys out in California, some in Florida, although California is doing a much better job because they do better there. So anyways, those are the cycads. I'm going to throw a little water on them after here, but this is a little project going on by the owner's wife. A little bit of Christmas palms planted in a compote. And yeah, we can go down here a little bit. I don't know how to pause this and restart it, so if you don't mind walking with me, or if you don't want to see the walk around, you can always fast forward a bit. But so you can see here, that is the neighbor. Like I said, he has a palm farm. I wouldn't call him a farmer. He's more of a professional drinker, but that's another story. And yeah, over here, you have the mini tractor for smaller plants, for loading, unloading stuff. You get the big Caterpillar that's called the tree boom. Basically, you strap a big burlap rope to it, and that's how you pull trees out of the ground once they're dug. There's a lot of everything here. So it's a fully functioning 15-acre field grow farm, and yeah, that's really that's where this is my part here that I'm walking back towards. And so I'm basically trying to fill this area up, grow up things that I know are part of that are to be sold, and then I have my own collection that's there. And it's something that I enjoy a lot, and it's kind of like my side job. But here comes one of the workers here now. What's going on? Hey, that's Camilo and Julio, and they do all of the digging and transportation. So I'm gonna probably get back to just finishing up some watering here. So anyways, I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want to see more palm and plant related things. So I hope you have a good week, and we'll talk to you later.